Hi there guys, I hope you are all well. Now, Dillian White has responded to Joseph Parker and Dominic Breazeale calling him out. Obviously, Dominic Breazeale needs a big fight. He needs a trip back to the big time because he suffered a huge knockout loss to Deontay Wilder in the first round in his second world title fight. So, time's running out for Dominic Breazeale. He doesn't want to mess around with these small gimme fights. He needs to go straight to the top of the heavyweight division if he has any plans of becoming a world champion or even challenging for another world title, which I believe that Dominic Breazeale is more of a gatekeeper. I don't think he's ever really going to be world champion. He might prove me wrong, and I hope he does, to be honest, because everyone loves an underdog story. So I don't believe that Dominic Breazeale is going to be at world level for a very long time. Obviously, though, he's calling out Dillian White because what else can he do? Where else can he go? And Joe Parker, former world champion, has a loss to Dillian White. He wants to avenge that. So both of them have been talking about Dillian White. And I mean, unless they are going to talk about Anthony Joshua, who is the champion and will be fighting Kubrat Pulev and likely Tyson Fury in the near future, and obviously Tyson Fury, who will be fighting Deontay Wilder again, and likely Anthony Joshua in the future, and Dillian White himself, they can't really talk about them because they're champions and they have fights all lined up. So Joe Parker and Dominic Breazeale are in no position to call out the champions, and obviously Deontay Wilder has his rematch with Tyson Fury. So the only person they can really call out, and for the public to believe they could actually get that fight, is Dillian White, because he is the biggest name outside of the champions, because he has drawn a huge crowd in the UK. He has great support from the British public and British fight fans, and he's a pay-per-view fighter. So they want to come over here and take some of that pay-per-view money. That is the reason why they are calling out Dillian White, because there is no other real reason they would want to fight Dillian White other than Joseph Parker, because I do believe he fights anyone. But Dominic Breazeale kind of is in need of a Dillian White fight. The pay-per-view money, the chance to get back to the big time, although I believe he gets smashed by Dillian White, but still, he wants that opportunity. And as I said, Dillian White is the only viable option for him to call out, who is a big name. Anyway, Dillian White has responded to this, and this is what he had to say exclusively to Sky Sports. I've beaten him up already, and I'll beat him up again. Joseph Parker shouldn't have been struggling with guys like Shaundell Winters. Who the hell is that guy? No one has ever heard of him. Instead of prancing around his kitchen, he should go fight someone credible like Derek Chisora or Oscar Rivas. I tried to fight Joseph Parker before we even fought. When he was champion, he didn't want to fight me, but he knows that fighting me now, he'll get a big payday. I fight Joseph Parker again and I knock him out. I went into that fight with a broken hand and a broken rib and I still destroyed him. I didn't outbox him, I beat him up and dominated him. Imagine if I go in there 100%. No injury, what's going to happen? The left hand was broken, and it was that hand that I knocked him down with. Joseph Parker has had a lot of opportunities and he's wasted them. Simple as that. He had an opportunity to beat Anthony Joshua. He fought like a coward in the fight. He had an opportunity to beat me. He done alright. But he just talks crap. I'm sick of these heavyweights. If you don't really want it, don't call my name. When I wanted it, they didn't want to fight me. So that was Dillian White's response to Joseph Parker, and he went further with a response to Dominic Breazeale. This is what he had to say to Dominic Breazeale. I accepted the fight and he pulled out. So there's nothing more to be said on that front. These guys are time wasters. Clearly he's bored at home, trying to shake off that last knockout, and thinking, how can I get another big payday? How can he have 2 world title fights? He didn't even deserve one of them. That's the reason he gets knocked out in world title fights, because it's easy work, easy money. He hasn't had a single fight since his embarrassing first round knockout loss to that fraud Wilder. A man who humiliated him both inside and outside of the ring. Shameful, pathetic excuse for a heavyweight boxer who should make a comeback and beat some credible opponents before he starts calling me out. So there we go, that is what Dillian White has had to say, and I think it's fair to say that he has not held back on either of them, because obviously he has respect for Joseph Parker. There was a lot of respect after that fight, but now obviously with Joseph Parker calling him out, that has really got up Dillian White's nose, and Dominic Breazeale as well. That's even worse, I believe, because obviously Dominic Breazeale was offered the Dillian White fight, but he was never really going to take that if he was offered a straight shot at the champion Deontay Wilder, which, I mean, I guess you could say he shouldn't have taken, because he got knocked out and ironed out in the first round. But then again, Dillian White would have done something similar to that, because I just believe, as I said before, that Dominic Breazeale isn't really a world level fighter. He's a good gatekeeper. If you can't beat him though, you're not going to go on to world level. Anthony Joshua has beaten him and battered him in 7 rounds, and now Deontay Wilder has knocked him out in 1 round. But that does not mean that Dominic Breazeale cannot come back and have some good fights, good paydays as well. Maybe even go for the regular WBA title. But that world level, where Anthony Joshua is at, Tyson Fury, Dillian White, Joseph Parker even. He's not going to be at that world level, I don't believe anyway. But on the other side, Joseph Parker, he is a world level fighter and he is a big fight for Dillian Whyte down the line. I believe that rematch will happen at some point. Obviously, Joseph Parker was supposed to fight Derek Chisora but had to pull out due to a spider bite, and that meant he could not fight Derek Chisora. Chisora ended up fighting David Price instead, winning that in the 4th round. So obviously Joseph Parker hasn't had the best of luck in the last couple of years, but he did get back in the ring against Shondell Winters, and it was lucky that he did, to get out and get active before this coronavirus pandemic shut boxing down completely. So he has had a bit of activity, but not as much as he should have had. But Joseph Parker is young. He still has plenty of time ahead of him. He is like 3 years younger than Dillian Whyte. So he still has a big career at heavyweight in front of him. Depends how much he wants it. Because he has already been world champion. He has already fought in a unified heavyweight world title fight against Anthony Joshua. He had a huge comeback fight against Dillian Whyte after that and lost that one as well. So Joseph Parker is at the world scene. He is always going to be in and around the top 10, top 5 heavyweights in the world, but still he needs a big comeback fight. He needs a big fight to put him on the map again, like Dillian Whyte. That is why he is calling Dillian Whyte's name. And obviously that loss, he believes he came close to beating Dillian Whyte in that last round, but everyone says if the fight goes on 15 more seconds, then Joseph Parker wins and Dillian Whyte gets knocked out. But the fight is 12 rounds for a reason. If you cannot beat your man inside the 12 rounds, then you cannot beat your man. Simple as that. There are 12 rounds, 36 minutes. You have all that time to beat the person in front of you. That is the time that is allotted to you. And I don't believe it's worth saying that if it goes on 15 seconds more, he gets knocked out. Because obviously, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, the first fight, Deontay Wilder would have been knocked out if there was like 15 seconds more. But there wasn't. There's 12 rounds, 36 minutes. That is the time you have to beat your man. Now, the interesting thing is Joseph Parker was kind of outboxing Dillian Whyte in those first couple of rounds, but Dillian Whyte turned it into a fight. Dillian Whyte thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to box with this guy and I'm losing rounds, so I'm going to make it a rough dogfight. And he knew that Joseph Parker was going to be unable to stick with him in that kind of fight. So that was what he done. He made Joseph Parker fight when he wanted to box, and that was the difference in that fight. Joseph Parker was being made to fight the way Dillian Whyte wanted to, and that was why Dillian Whyte was able to win, because of his heart and tenacity. That is what got Dillian Whyte through that fight, and what got him through a lot of his fights as well. That is why Dillian Whyte is so successful, especially with the fans, because he always gives value for money. He doesn't go in there just wanting a decision. He goes in there to knock his guy out, and that is what he tried to do with Joseph Parker. And he did come close in that fight with Joseph Parker. So that kind of proves that Dillian Whyte is a level above definitely Dominic Breazeale and even Joseph Parker at this point. I believe that Joseph Parker is closer than Dominic Breazeale, but ultimately Dillian Whyte is the guy who is a level above, and the only guy he should be really fighting is a world champion, especially after his fight with Alexander Povetkin, provided he comes through that fight. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Dillian Whyte has responded to Joseph Parker and Dominic Breazeale calling him out. Guys, drop your thoughts in the comments below, click the thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks, guys.